Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a project I've been putting off for a while. Uh, will a Mac Pro 6.1 firmware work in a Mac Pro 5.1? So that's essentially a case of taking a trash can Mac Pro, firmware file and shoehorning it into a cheese grater. So from a technical standpoint, the only difference is that the chips that are used in the 6.1, they're twice the size of the chips in the 5.1. So recently, I had a couple, I actually had two cheese graters where the onboard SPI flash chip went out. And so I kind of did this ugly jumper header thing in order to be compatible with these cheap little, $2 modules I got off Amazon. So, reported that to the community. There's there's the original Pi right there. So I'm just going to see what happens. I got this, like I say, the newer model Mac Pro uses a bigger flash chip, so I had to get a different module. But yeah, let's see what it takes to get into that. Guess I didn't prepare super well. I do need a Mac Pro 6.1. What would that be? No, it would be like an Apple. There's one on GitHub. GitHub flash archive. There we go. So in general, you could probably pull this file out of a Mac Pro firmware update. Those are usually bundled with the operating system. Let's see, we'll just pick the latest and greatest. And let's just download that. Yeah, realizing how little I prepared here. We need a way to get that file onto something that can burn it. So we'll just use netcat because it's easy. And then that needs to arrive over on this little Raspberry Pi. Not giving me a display. Worked in rehearsal. Get this connected to a capture device. Just wondering where that screen is. All right, this works. Well, I guess we'll just F2. We'll unplug, replug game. get that video, please? The LEDs look like it's booted anyway. It's a Pi 3, so I go from red, a little blinking green there. Should be getting a HDMI output. Fun. Deactivate that one. Well, once upon a time I did get a display, so let's just get back to there. A little too much USB excitement. What's going on this side? All right, video, that seems self-explanatory. USB-C power, or micro USB in this generation. Plugged into capture 2. That's what we were looking for. I don't know why it didn't work the first time around. It was just working. There it is. All right. Let's go ahead and get that file. Oh, I knew the IP address. All right. Did I get there? No. Oh, because I didn't plug the network in. Man, it is one fun thing after another. Let's see. All right, let's see where that gets us. Got an IP address. That's a step in the right direction. Okay. That's there. It's the correct size. MD5 matches. All right, so that's what we want to write. Pin out those things. All right, with the orange toward the power LED, which I suppose makes sense. Put that in. All right, flash ROM. How does that work? I bet it's in my history. Nope. Oh, because I have to be root. So let's read. Just take the whole command. All right, W25Q64. That is the WinBond style SPI chip. That is the larger capacity. And so one would expect a brand new module to be all Fs, and it is. So then it looks like I can just -W. Oh, it's like stupid encrypted or something. Well, that's going to be annoying. It's my address. We'll come back a different way. 101. I don't think it's actually anything wrong on my side, making it hard to get a display. I suspect that was just Raspberry Pi things. Of course, HDMI is involved, so I always like to blame that. And there's where we were. It's not very big. How big do we think this repo is? Code copy. Maybe we can just download the whole thing. Not from here. So is it an FD file I need and not an SCAP? See, there's a difference. Okay, this is appropriate, late 2013. It's always nice to get it straight from Apple anyway. XF, just I, extract. Yeah, it's X. Well, make it easy. All right, well, that's annoying. I don't want the SCAP file. Well, it's not the same file. I mean, that looks like the start of a firmware to be sure. Is it B0? Well, let's take a quick gander to version 5. It's going to fill up my flash. All right, let's do it. Apparently does not exist in this version, Catalina. So then what is the end of this file? It is strange for sure. I wish I could compare it to, well, let's see, where'd it go? See, that's a different thing altogether. Maybe we need that flash tool. What was it called? Sounds right like what I need. How convenient. Windows. Thanks, guys. So VMware ESX is pretty great. I used to run Mac OS. I was running Mac OS Monterey. Is that right? 10.15. Yeah, whatever it was came before before, God, am I getting old or what? Before Ventura. Inside of VMware ESX, using a GPU pass-through, and it was pretty amazing. I feel like that system was faster than running natively. Something about having, a full TrueNAS file server to handle, to emulate your local hard drive. It was pretty great. There were definitely some tricks, but the problem was the power consumption. It took as much power at idle as it did when it was fully loaded. And so with a Mac Pro cheese-grater, that's, 500 watts of heat. So it was just too much, and I couldn't put it to sleep either. With this tab. Yes, please. But it does an excellent job of distributing resources. I mean, it seems like it gets every last drop of performance that's available for getting. All right, so that should then come up here. The Mac Pro cheese-grater is kind of a ridiculous machine anyway. Just, by default, this machine, 2 6-core processors with hyper-threading, that's 24 threads. That's a lot to schedule even today. Much less, I think this machine shipped with Mavericks 10.9. So it was real difficult for stuff to actually get the performance it was capable of. I found SMT disable equals 1 to be pretty valuable. That actually turns off hyperthreading in the 5.1's firmware. So that helps. Otherwise, it's just too much. I got 12 physical cores to schedule, separated among 2 processors, and now I'm also going to have imaginary cores to schedule as well. That was not helpful. Okay, so here I am in 10. All right, you can stop loading. Or maybe you can't. Let's see. All right, Bing, let's see what you got. Released April 23rd. I wonder if it will still run on this operating system. Oh, yes, because it's Windows. It's not terrible and annoying like Apple. Okay. Thanks, Windows. Thanks for keeping me safe. Yeah, we're going to keep that. Oh my gosh. We're going to say that that's safe. Thanks, Windows. Oh my God. No, I don't want to talk to you. Oh, yes, if it could just ask more questions. on downloads. Part of the reason this is so slow is it's actually only got a single thread or a single core in a 1.8 gigahertz machine. And I found that that's kind of key to like scaling the VMware ESX. Here today, this is just running in a router. So it could be a much more powerful architecture to be sure. Will you give me the file? Yeah, I don't really care anymore. Yes, I do want to keep it. I do. I want to keep it. All right, so this is version 2 apparently. Something happened. Oh, Windows. Please. Oh, Windows. Come on, you can do this. Just struggle through. Yeah, you can do this. You go, Windows. What I've got here, I mean, I mentioned it's a router. It's one of those all-in-one kind of fanless machines. I found I had to put a fan on it anyway, because VMware can extract virtually all of the the energy and the processing power. But yeah, quad-core i5 with 64 gigs of RAM, and then storage-wise, it's got a 256 gig internal SSD for storage, which is the closest thing I could find to enterprise rated SSD. It's from Transcend in the M-SATA form factor, and then I'm running a 2 terabyte Intel data center drive in a TrueNAS VM. And that, I mean, it seems crazy the amount of like looping in and out of the machine that you wind up with, but it works extremely well. CFS3, there it is. So yeah, so it's been pretty great. All right, Windows, are you together now? Dare I even look for a version 1 download? All right, everything in version 2 had a bug up until the latest release. So let's grab the latest version 1, because that's implied to also work. Yes, please. Yes, I do. Thanks, Windows, for keeping me safe. I really do. I really do want to keep it. All right, you get your 2 meg file down. Normally, I just use this VM occasionally for run a spectrum analyzer. This has a... It's just so painful. No, you didn't protect my PC. You didn't do anything helpful. Yeah, run as a... No, you're not helping me. I sure am. I've got a high-K vision DVR. I've already got a rootkit. All right, so now I just need those files. I think I can get to a server from here. Gimme. Folder. Just went right there. All right. There's those two. All right. 20 minutes later, we have the tool. Just because Windows is dumb, now I should just copy it rather than face all the problems with opening files over the network. All right, MP51. Let's take a little look-see. It sure doesn't say MP61, does it? I mean, I'm looking at it with my eyeballs. Is it not a file? Does it not exist yet? Doesn't even make any sense. You're being so much fun, Windows. I just love you. All right, this is just ridiculous. I can't take it anymore. Do I even want to wait for it to shut down? No, I don't care. Just go away. Yes, please. Because I can just open that same virtual machine locally. Let's think about that later. All right, why is that not opening? Because I have to. All right. I originally did it the router way primarily because I want to be able to turn this machine off. I want to be able to change the flash chip, but I don't know, that was pretty slow and terrible. But for stuff that runs unattended in the background, I mean, again, not enough, not enough good things to say. That's great. Under normal operations, even when I'm running it, it usually does just fine. It's just going to act up for the show. Yeah, and there we can clearly see where roughly 15 minutes ago I started trying to boot up Windows and everything got slow and terrible. But I was amazed how little each one of these machines runs in general, how few resources it takes. And the response time is excellent. So you can really pack a lot of stuff onto one box. All right, VMware, here we go. And so, yeah, this is the same. The desktop has rearranged itself, but this is the same. Same files I dragged in there not too long ago. Great. Okay, it's not valid. I got you. All right, yeah, there is some kind of conversion. Seven-zip? That's dated 2014, so it's possible. Okay, I'll take it. Interested. Ah, then I have one of those, do I? Hmm. Interesting. It's big. Hmm. Okay. Or for extract all the S. Okay, I'll take it. Just bless it, huh? No, thank you. That's not my answer. Nope. Okay. Yeah, the FD file is the right size. All right, that's not helpful. Okay, I'll take it. Win rate, yes, please. Seems exactly like what we need. This doesn't seem sketchy at all. All right, well, we're talking about the right thing. Yep. Everything about this seems like a good idea. Ooh, terms and conditions, I bet they're great. I don't see any terms and conditions to agree to. Ooh, this is our... Yeah, that sounds like our buddy. Right there. All right. Got those. The downloads. Those over there. Go to that. I already had a little folder for it. Yeah, apparently I've been down this road. I was looking into Xserves as well. Oh, there's where I already downloaded the whole vault. How convenient. All right, Phoenix tool. Bring me your embedded malware. Windows, after that whole performance Uh-huh. All right, that's a step in the right direction. Open from the desktop. Ooh. It's doing a lot of secret working. Okay, is it going to dump garbage all over my desktop? That would be great. Not sure what we just found here. All right, I mean, this is a cool. Stuff is cool. I just want to extract. These buttons are not useful. All right, this is cool. But what am I even looking at, and why is it here? All right, lots of documentation. Firmware volume, public key, and signature from this. Yes, okay, I will take those. Okay. All right, so we just need to look for that pattern. FVH on the first. All right, that's consistent. Volume size at 070. Okay, I just want the thingy. Well, we know all this stuff. All right, where was it that it was actually back to the scab? Ah, 220 frame. $70. Okay, fitting so far. Let's just see what that means exactly. That's the size one would think. I guess we'll just go with that. Two 2005 MP61. That appears at line 70. Size appears at 60. That's not consistent. Oh, FVH though, and the end of the 20 line. All right, we don't know why it's dumb, but we're going to go with that. A lot of empty space in there. All right, and all of that looking around just to see. So let's take a look at that while we're waiting. Oh, what is this? This is not helpful. All right, well, that seems hunky-dory. So my understanding is there's no real problem booting a unconfigured or like an empty firmware file. The MP5 boots up that way with no problem. I'm going to have a couple issues because my normal GPU is not supported by the firmware. So it also wasn't supported by Enable GOP at the time either. All right, so I assume this completed. So maybe we should label this. A little bit of tape over the contacts. All right, so I really don't expect this to boot all the way up by any stretch. I mean, I guess I could shut it down nicely. Not sure that buys me anything. Sure, we'll come right back there. All that really did was mean now I can't resume it on the VMware side or the ESX side. Is it too late to say I don't really care anymore? Try again. Oh, DaVinci Resolve. Goodbye. 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 Stop. Yep, goodbye. Bye-bye now. Clearly the big question. What will happen? All right, moment of truth, and we hit the power button. It turns on, which I'll be honest is a little unexpected, because I don't think it'll turn on without a firmware file at all. And the USB controller is apparently initialized, because I see my light. Can't really see much more at this point because the, well, again, it's that graphics card. And I'm really kind of surprised as to how much did happen. All right, so let's see what happens if I turn it on without a chip. Obviously, that shouldn't do anything. It's the power button. Oh, it does turn on. Well, that's A little irritating. Yeah, it behaves exactly the same. Okay, well that's not an exciting step then. All right, it comes on to a white light. And then again, it sits with a all-on light. All right, so just a little digging around there. It really didn't seem like anything happened at all. So let's take an image of the chip that's currently running. This is by no means a pristine firmware. I'd actually done some tests, I believe, where I wanted to see if it would work with a fully corrupt checksum, and the answer is yes, it does. So I think for example, the serial number is just like got a physical typo right over top of it. Okay, let's see if we can get this board running. What I did, I just took and concatenated two of the files together. Let's just see if that will boot. Because we may just be down to something like the CPU microcode. And so the results of this should be that it just boots up and operates normally. It'll give us a little bit of information because we'll see how there's two copies of the same data in there. So we'll see, for example, where it chooses to write settings to. Yay! All right. Back under the desk. Moment of truth should get a chime. And really, because this is valid code for this processor and whatnot, really it should boot all the way up to my desktop. No chime. I guess that's probably a good sign for the project in that because I didn't get a chime with the other chip either, with the other code. Not good for this project. All right, so nothing to report yet. Certainly with the stacked firmware, there's life. The lights do a lot of things that seem optimistic. Go back and write that firmware again. The MacPro6 firmware again to another module. At least we know that. Well, I guess we don't really know anything yet. All right, I'm going to write that out. I shall be back here in a minute. All right, what I've learned there is that the MacPro6 file that I generated does the same actually as not having EFI chip connected at all. From perspective of the diagnostic LEDs, the bottom light stays on solid, and the one above it is blinking. So that's not great news, but it's not bad news either. What's interesting is that I was kind of surprised that the stacked ROM, it behaves the same as the stock ROM in that I get the same LEDs, but I never get a chime. So that's probably just something is the wrong range is being checksummed, or there's some kind of particular, particular something about the order, the size of it, or something like that. Oh, look, somebody's up on chat. It's been a little while. If I more research needed. All right, well, so what we know is that didn't do anything. So, been at it for a little while. The hope was that, if something amazing happened, I certainly want that, want that live reaction. Let's see. I gotta get back to my server. Get back into Windows. And then hopefully figure out why that's stacked. I can't just boot a, what I'm calling a stacked ROM. Essentially 2 copies of the same firmware just on top of each other. The hope being that it would figure, it would run whichever one was convenient for it. There. Well, I don't really know what else I have to offer right now. I'm going to probably do a little bit more digging, doing some checksum validation, and just see. I want to see this MacPro51 boot off the larger firmware chip, even just to get, some level of action, and then kind of move on to, it seems like it ought to be. It's a Xeon. The chipset should be similar. So, another thing I'm wondering is if it's got something to do with the microcode. Maybe it's expecting a, more 6.1 load, but it's been good. You guys, I thank everybody for, checking us out, and, the usual like and subscribe applies. And I'll be back later making questionable hardware modifications to vintage Apple hardware. So, you guys have a great day, and yeah, we'll catch you later.